What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. So, today I decided, after seeing that big Captain Atom reveal from DC Multiverse from McFarlane Toys, there I finally spit it out. I need some teams completed. I feel like I'm looking at my action figure shelf, all my different displays, my Avengers, my X-Men, my Justice League, my Titans, my Jedi, and thinking, I need more teams completed. I feel like outside of the Fantastic Four, that's it. There's so many other squads that need completed. And I feel like when Hasbro kicks up a new team, like we just got with Generation X, it's like, hey, whoa, you still have X-Force, you still have X-Factor. You need to wrap up and finish. Don't get started, don't get distracted with another team. Finish what you started, then you can go on, because that's the beauty of all these different long-term teams like the Avengers. It's not like, okay, we've done the original squad of Avengers. There's no more Avengers we can ever do in the history of comics. There's 10, 12 different iterations of the Avengers. And I don't know if any version or any team has been completed out there. So let's see what you guys are thinking. Doc, what's up, man? How are you? I'm good. Looking forward to another stream talking about all these teams I want completed. 80s kids from the 90s. I think we need new comic book figures for Guardians of the Galaxy. Are we talking about the DNA version? Because to me, it starts and stops with that version. And I feel like there's a lot of members of that team that I still need completed. I really love the versions we have so far. But yeah, it's still about almost half the team still left. I just finished rewatching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. What a great film. Yeah, I really liked that one. And I thought the second one was good too. I feel like people are kind of mixed in terms of their reaction to Part 2, Volume 2. But I really loved it. I love the soundtrack on that. Probably a little bit more than the first one. But I love those things. The blue suit versions. Yes, the DNA Guardians of the Galaxy. That is definitely a great read for anybody who hasn't seen it. Let me pull this bad boy up. This team is really, really good. And they have the best costumes of all the different eras of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So much fun and such cool looks for this team. And here's a quick version of them. Suits of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So we probably need a better Nova, like Nova Prime version for sure. And we need Viola Bell. I don't understand why we still don't have her, but yeah, the Guardians we definitely need. Doc, even the FF aren't finished. Yeah, we need Medusa, Crystal, exosuit thing. Yeah, we also need a Sharon Miss Marvel version as well, and her thing attire. And then we still need a spiky thing. And I don't know if we're going to get the peekaboo cutout version of Invisible Woman. But yeah, I mean, at least we have like a blue and white version of the FF completed. But yeah, where's our Quicksilver? We do have Quicksilver. You're talking about the one in the green attire from his original version? Because we actually do have a version of my guy Pietro in all of his glory and all that good stuff. Pop it up here just to show, because I was really happy with how that bad boy turned out. So there we go. There's Quicksilver hanging right out there with, oh, you missed out on the Brotherhood pack. Yeah. I don't even know. I think that one's super expensive right now. So yeah, if you missed that one, it sucks, because they really should release another one, hopefully with a smaller head Pietro, because this sucker's a little bit big. She-Hulk. She-Hulk would complete a ton of teams. You're right. We do need She-Hulk to complete the blue and white attire. Fantastic Four. We need a She-Hulk to complete the Roger Stern, John Buscema version of the Avengers. And we still need a Dr. Druid, a Simonson, fully armored up Thor. So we're about halfway with that team. And we still need Stingray for any version of the Avengers. 80s kids from the 90s. Yes. I'm sorry. Triathlon. So yeah, that era, the Perez Busick era, we really need them, because I feel like we still need that Heroes Return version of Iron Man, and we could use a slightly better version, maybe not better version, but a bulkier version of Thor to capture the way George Perez drew him. And then Triathlon, Silver Claw, the Giant Man Goliath version that he did. Always love how Perez drew Black Panther, so you could see his eye slits were a little bit wider so you could see that there was a black man underneath the suit. I really thought that was cool. We really love to see that in a figure. So we got them. And of course, his various versions of Wasp. There's so many from that era of Avengers that need to be done anyway. And I think they make for great figures. And all of these guys, I mean, I take all of them. Perez's version of Wanda in her gypsy outfit, there's Stingray hanging out in the back again. I'd love to see this version of Hank Pym, Giant Man / Goliath. That's a cool look. We're getting Cersei, but not in her green attire. Just so many figures. This version of Rage, a better version of Tigra, not the Cheeto flavored version. Fire, what is Esperita's name? Fire Flamebird. Yes, this version of Hercules, that version of Quicksilver. I mean, there's so many different variations of these characters, and so that's why I'm like, we need to finish some of these teams up. Robert, Infinite Realms. Hey, just straighten up my office while watching, so may not be as chatty. X-Factor, both original and newer versions, are super needed. Yeah, it's funny because we almost have one completed version of X-Factor. We have the second iteration of them with Havoc, Polaris, Jamie, Strong Guy, Quicksilver. We just need one more team member, and that's Wolfsbane. We've even got Random, so if we want to put him in there and then, get into the whole, well, we got Forge, we got Mystique, and maybe we get Val Cooper later on. Those would be kind of fun additions, but we need to wrap up that second team and get Wolfsbane so we can finish one team. But of course, would love to get the original X-Factor, and I'm kind of torn because I like those original outfits, but I feel like they're so close to the Neil Adam versions of the X-Men. I'd rather get them in figure form, and so I kind of lean a little bit more to the second versions of the original X-Factor. So we've already got Cyclops in his blue and white attire. We need Jean Grey in her red and yellow. We need Beast in his brown and yellow. We've got Archangel. We've got Iceman. So I wouldn't mind getting the depowered Bobby Drake with his blue and with his light blue and white attire so we can match up with them too, because I really love those second versions of them. I no longer have my Bleeding Edge Iron Man. Needed to make money. I'm suggesting Bleeding Edge. I know how that is, where it's like, okay, I've sold off a figure, and I really was thinking they were going to get a better version of that figure sooner, and they have not yet. So yeah, I'm with you on that. One wave of the Bring on the Bad Guys wave every year. I wouldn't be upset if they did two. I mean, I guess we're kind of sort of getting to when we factor in those Amazon box sets where they do like 4 villains or even 5 villains like this latest X-Men one. So I guess if we looked at it that way, we are sort of getting that on the slide from Marvel, but I would love to see so many more. And I always say Marvel, Hasbro interchangeably, so forgive me. You guys know I'm talking about Hasbro on that. Iron Patriot. We do need a better version of him because we got this new Civil War era Iron Man, and I assume we're going to get a repaint of that because that's that armor that Norman Osborn wore, and we should probably get a separate head sculpt so we can have that sneering, crazy, mad Norman head sculpt. Maybe this would be a time where they could do a half human skin and half goblin infested version like Brian Michael Bendis did in his comic. That was probably the one book that Bendis did that I really enjoyed, his Dark Avengers. That was a lot of fun. Working on my comic book collection, Teen Titans, Young Justice, and Legion today. Nice. So we've gotten from McFarlane Toys a pretty decent amount of Titans. I feel like we still need a classic one. Maybe we get a Donna Troy Wonder Girl in her red attire, red and stars, red and silver attire. That would be really good to see because the DC Multiverse version always kind of let me down. She was too skinny, too small, not quite Wonder Girl. But I don't like this super huge Donna Troy Amazon he released in this latest Titans wave. Way too big, too out of scale for me. I'd love to see a gold label with a classic Wonder Girl outfit. Giant Man or Yellow Jacket from Secret Invasion era. Yeah. So you're talking about a giant version of Yellow Jacket. Ares. We do have Ares too. Did you miss out on him? They did a good job with his figure, and they didn't update him like they did some of these other figures, but what they did do was pretty cool. And I thought I reviewed that figure on my site. Of course, now I'm looking and I didn't see him, so let's see. But yeah, they did it. There we go. We did get a figure of him, and I think I actually have him with the Avengers. So let's see here. If I pull this up on, there we go. So y'all can see. And now let's go down to you so we can see that. And so that's that updated version of Ares. And wow. Yeah, this is all the versions of the Dark Avengers. I have the old outdated Sentry. This I decided to use for my Dark Hawkeye / Bullseye. That's the Scorpion version of Venom, and then Ares. So we definitely need a better version of Norman Osborn in his Iron Patriot attire to actually finish off that team. So I'm looking and I'm hoping with this HasLab we get the Giant Man that seems to be teased, and hopefully a Wasp as one of the tiers or early birds or whatever, however we get the classic version of Wasp, because we got that Iron Man Mark 1. We still need Mark 2, so we actually have the legit version he wore in Avengers issue 1. We need the brute version of Hulk as well. I think Thor is the only legitimate figure we have right at this moment in the upcoming Ant-Man that fits in perfectly with the classic Avengers issue 1. Commander Rogers. Well, let me pull this up because I can't reveal the source because he's gotten in trouble from other companies. But there was a rumored list of Marvel Legends coming for the rest of the year. Let me break these down real fast for everyone. So we're getting a Spider-Man. These are all Marvel Legends. Spider-Man Spider-Verse, Penny Parker and SPDR, Deluxe Shumaguroth, a fan channel, Isaiah Bradley, Captain America. So check that one off the list. A Hawkeye 2-pack, Spider Slayer set, and we're getting a set of Marvels. So we're getting Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, Photon, all MCU versions. Commander Rogers is on that list as well. So we are going to see him. Karnak, Novar, Sentient Suit Iron Man, and some Build-A-Figure that was yet to be announced. Then we're getting a Best of MCU, Civil War Iron Man, Spider-Man, Stealth Cap, Iron Man Mark II, Thor Dark World, Nick Fury, Winter Soldier Black Widow, Unknown Hero, and an unknown Build-A-Figure. So getting some figures coming out here, which is nice. Then we're finally getting, just a few months delayed, the Spider-Man No Way Home wave. It's going to include the Tobey, Andrew, Tom Holland versions of Spider-Man, Matt Murdock, MJ, Sandman, Green Goblin, and a still to be announced Build-A-Figure. And then we're getting a Spider-Man No Way Home Deluxe Doc Ock and a Marvel Nightwave that is also coming and still to be revealed and all that good stuff. And then we're finally getting an X-Men 97 based on this upcoming cartoon on Disney Plus. That's going to have Wolverine, Rogue, Storm, Gambit, Magneto, Bishop. And then we're also going to get another addition to the Squadron Supreme. So they're actually completing or continuing work on a team they started. So we're going to get another 2-pack. This one's Nighthawk and Blur. So that's exciting. We're getting another team, getting some more members. I think it's hilarious that we've almost gotten more members of the Serpent Society and some of the premier teams from the past eras of Marvel. Like we haven't gotten more members of the Thunderbolts than we do the Serpent Society. Oh, 80s kids from the 90s. You gave your Civil War figures too, and you were definitely selling off a bunch of good stuff, huh? Yes, and we are finally getting a better, much improved version of Hank Pym. And I know the box says Scott Lang, but I don't care. That is absolutely going to be my classic Avengers 1 Hank Pym. And then I'm hoping with the HasLab we'll have Giant Man for issue 2. And then I can knock off the original Avengers with Wasp and a Mark II Iron Man. So I'm looking forward to that. But we also had that 70s era version of the Avengers. And with this latest Wonder Man, we're coming really close to knocking that team out. We got Jocasta, we got Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. It's time now that we get a smaller version of Beast, one that fits in a little bit more with how George Perez drew him. I always use him as a reference for everything because I feel like you really can't go wrong when you say, hey, George Perez, that's the version that I want for my Avengers Beast. And when you do that, I think you're really, really covered. So let's pull this up here so everybody can see this version that I'm talking about. So yeah, that one. Smiley version of my guy, drawn by George Perez. It's not so super big, super large, but smaller than the ones we've gotten so far because we really need a better version of him to more accurately reflect how he looks in the Avengers. And even when John Byrne drew him in the X-Men, especially as I want to complete that Dark Phoenix team that, fought the Imperial Guard to close out, and then Jean had to sacrifice herself for everybody. And that's what I want. I love to see more members of the Imperial Guard. Right now, we only have Gladiator and Fang, and it feels weird to have two members of such a huge, big team. And it's just like, what are we doing, guys? We're so close to getting this thing done. And let me pull this up so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about here. The absolutely fantastic John Byrne version of the X-Men. And so I'm still ways away from getting this completed here. Smaller version of Beast, who's like not too far off from the size scale of Nightcrawler. This version of Angel, the mainly red attire with the gold, yellow circle, gold gloves, yellow gloves, however way you want to interpret it. And I still need a human version of Colossus because I need him to carry Professor X as Lilandra, Gladiator, and the whole crew watch and assemble and prepare to tell the X-Men, blow their minds, telling them what Phoenix did while she was Dark Phoenix. Medieval Alchemist, what's up? Just got in. Any word on the Wolfsbane? No, I don't understand. Maybe they're just so confused with how to sculpt fur. But I feel like, just like Toy Biz did way back in the day before we were getting Marvel Legends, just repaint a feral and a Wolfsbane. So just use enough common parts so we can get, make the most of that sculpt and we can reuse them. Because, gosh, I don't think there's too many ways that they could do those figures where I'd be like, I'd rather have those two completed to complete their teams than a perfect sculpt. And I know I said that, and even though I was still on a better Tigra, I feel like those two characters are ones that if for some reason Hasbro loses the license and they'll get around to finishing every team, those are going to be two that we're going to go, man, they should have done those. 1, 2 on 12/16 Anarchist. What's up? Good day. Finally caught one of your live streams live. Well, caught one of the streams live. Yes, I'm excited. Welcome aboard. Happy to see you on here as well. And this 80s kid from the 90s says, hit that like button, everybody. And also, don't forget that I do another live stream on Wednesdays where I'm talking with my brother, Lyle's Movie Files, and we're talking about movies, pop culture, TV, comic books, etc. So yeah, that's definitely something you should pay attention to if you want to care about our thoughts on that. Tom Finn, what's going on? So much for Hasbro's character selection is driven by cost initiatives. I think the reason we're missing so many team builders is the tooling required. You are 100% correct. I'm sure that's the reason why we haven't seen Feral and Wolfsbane yet. I do feel like there's some characters they could make using available parts at this point, because I feel like so much of the Wonder Man we just got could be repurposed for a red jumpsuit Hank Pym. And I feel like there are other team members in some slots they could do. Morena on Alpha Flight, she's a character it feels like they could do pretty easily using some existing parts from her as well. Excuse me, let's see here. Let me find this. I feel like she would be super easy for them to do. And her outfit is basic and real simple. And Marvel Boy Justice on the New Warriors is another one who's really simple. And they could easily do that figure based off of what we got. That's her look. Outside of the webbed hands and feet, I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't do that with her as well. So she's an easy one. I think they could knock out with really no problem. I can't believe they've only done one female for the Serpent Society, Madam Viper Hydra. Try being a DC Classics fan and having one female member on the Legion of Superheroes, where it was that Saturn girl who was taller than her husband, boyfriend, Lightning Lad, which was just, still drives me nuts. Princess Python, she'd be a great figure. And I'm sure that is a budget figure for sure. That's the reason we haven't gotten her. Abigail Brand and Kree Soldiers. Kree Soldiers are another one that should be relatively easy. I feel like sculpting the helmet shouldn't be that cost prohibitive. I think they've gotten one basically already from the Captain Marvel film version. I think that could work. Just retool it a little bit. I think that would be a pretty easy one for them to do. Mockingbird. Yeah, I'm not really happy with the modern version of Mockingbird. I need the classic one with the long sleeves And I'm not real partial either way. I don't care if she's wearing the jumpsuit or if she's wearing, like this, the legs out and the boots. I don't really care on that. I just rather have a Mockingbird that fits in better with my Silver Centurion, Iron Man, Tigra, Wonder Man, Hawkeye, and call it a day. I got Moon Knight there too. So let me get that team a little bit further along as well. What up, G Suplex? Would love to see an Ultimate X-Men team completed. I love the Ultimate suits. It's really funny how far out of favor that team, that look is gone now. Because I remember back when they started, it was so much the rave, the rage, and we had so many things, so many figures coming out, so much news about them. But now we haven't gotten any figures of them. And I guess they'd have to start a whole new team. So I'm really leery about them doing another ultimate version of Wolverine and then no one else from that team, because I feel like that's something they would do for sure. We have so many classic Avengers. Wish they'd rounded out with Swordsman and Manus. Yes, exactly. So that's a team they could complete and wrap up another one. There's a lot of members on teams of the Avengers where they do like one or two more figures and they complete a roster and complete a lineup. That 90s one that they're starting to do a little bit more of, got that Black Knight and Cersei now, and I really like how they turned out. And I'm kind of thinking, well, you guys started this. Are you going to finish that team too? Because now I'm excited and I want to see, hey, who else are you going to do? We've got Black Knight, Cersei in their vest. I love that look. And then we've got that, but we still need a Crystal Hercules, clean shaven, giant man with no mask, just a little headband, the vest, because that whole look was a thing for them. I think Vision needs a better figure in that attire, the white one and the colored version as well. And what was her name? Deathcry. So there's just a few members that they need left to complete that team too. So when they start these teams, I wish they would finish another one before they move on to another one. What's up, Kelly? Happy Saturday to you as well. 86 from the 90s. More scrolls. Hasbro made them impossible to get. Not only were they impossible to get, but if you had them, there was a cap on how many you could get, which was so frustrating because if they just kept them up on Hasbro Pulse, I would have so many more. And I loved what they did. Those figures are really fun and cool, but it's like, come on, guys. We could use so many more of them. And I had a pretty decent amount of them, got them with their guns. And I love the fact that you could actually do something with these guys and swap out, take advantage of the other heads. And so if you're like me and you have too many multiples of different characters, you could just swap them, the extra scroll heads on, and build up your scroll army even more. And of course, you got the Super Scroll. I don't know if you guys are like me and have an old Toy Biz Super Scroll holdover, but yeah, the scrolls are really cool. And I loved what they did in terms of having that articulation, and they can fight everybody, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and all of your Marvel universe, basically. So where is this picture I'm trying to show you? There you go. So this is the one. So I managed to expand my scroll army artificially by using those heads and swapping them on with some other figures, some carryovers. So that way it's a little bit bigger than it really is, but it's like, I guess someone finally said what I was hoping they would. JT The Grind says they also don't want to finish teams quick because they want to keep you around in longevity. Here's the thing with me. There's like 5 versions of the Avengers. There's the Thunderbolts. There's Alpha Flight, New Warriors, Serpent Society, Freedom Force. We still need 4 members of them. There's so many versions of the X-Men left, the Defenders, the Champions. I'm not going anywhere. I can come up with a list of 100 Marvel Legend figures very easily that I want. And I feel like there's some worry, some concern that I represent the minority. I'm a Marvel character or Marvel fan, but once I get one team completed, I'm out. It's not like, oh, you guys are finally giving me that green and yellow Banshee that I've been clamoring for years. Now I'm done. No, I'm just going to go, okay, great. You finally got him knocked out. Now give me the rest of X-Factor. And while you're at it, do the original and the second version and all the other different versions of X-Factor. There's so many teams. There's so many different directions for them to go. I am absolutely going nowhere. So they turn out the lights and say Marvel Legends is done from Hasbro. So yeah, I know there's always that argument from people that, well, if they make all your favorite teams and characters, you're going to leave. But I don't think that's really the case. G Suplex. Hasbro's on his way to completing the Astonishing team as well. So for the Astonishing team, are we still counting that old Kitty Pryde they did? I guess we have Colossus, but they need to update his suit. So there's two. And I guess Kitty Pryde works the one we have. So we still need Colossus. We need Cat Beast and yeah, that's one that's gonna be really fun to see done. And a new Danger. Danger would work for another X-Men team, the Utopia era, Cyclops' Prime squads. And that's another version, another team that I would want filled and completed. So I'm just gonna keep going. The Marauders would be another team that if they complete the Thunderbolts, I'm gonna go, hey, do these guys next. Heroic Age Thor. He's another character who would add on to teams that we've gotten as well. Robert's Infinite Realms. I am with you on all the teams you named, Defenders, Champions, etc. Yeah, I mean, Marvel, the greatest thing Hasbro has for them is they can pull out any of those Marvel encyclopedias. Don't just do a Google search and go with the worst image of a character like that road they just released. But I mean, there's the Outback era of X-Men, so many different versions of the New Mutants. I mean, they can go with those yellow and black outfits, then their individual outfits. There's 3 costume versions of X-Force that they've managed to merge into one. Hey, here's X-Force. Congratulations. So many more that they can do and put out for us. Medieval Alchemist. Still a lot of villains left to be made as well. Could do more villain packs for us too. Listen, so there's another team that I haven't even touched on that really could go for a long time, and we could just keep going for many more iterations of those teams. The Masters of Evil. We have the Enchanters from the first version. So we still need Scourge, the Executioner. We need Baron Helmut Zemo. Then we need Baron Zemo, the second version of the Masters of Evil. There's like 5 or 6 members of that team that haven't been done, and we need all of them to go and smash up Avengers Mansion. Then there's Ultron's versions of the Masters of Evil. There's so many different versions of those squads that, you know, I could keep rattling off those members and more teams that could be completed. Adam Warlock, of course. So then you've got the Infinity Watch and his whole crew, Pip the Troll, Gamora in her different outfit, Drax the Destroyer in his classic outfit. Yes, it's just really weird. Kelly, you summed it up. This is a frustrating situation. So many teams to finish. Finally seen some of my Astonishing X-Men, but Thunderbolts, Ultimate X-Men, the list goes on and on. Yeah, and I was really encouraged when we were starting. It felt like to get some more of those different versions of characters and teams. I was like, oh man, we're getting more Thunderbolts. We've had this Mockingbird Songbird around for so long, and now it's time to get some more of these. But we're really behind in terms of knocking out the Thunderbolts, a team that would be really easy for them to actually just finish in a really short, small box set. Like 2020 was the last time we got a member, and that was Mach 1. So that has been way too long. So here is my versions of the Thunderbolts as of right now. 3 members. And if I want to switch out Citizen V and just put in Hawkeye, that's one. But then I'd have to take out Citizen or Mach 1 because he wasn't around because Hawkeye sent him off to prison. But yeah, it's really weird. There's so many figures we still need, and so many teams that just need a handful of members, a small box set, a 3-pack, a 2-pack, and we'd be like, great, we got another one knocked out. David Chu, yeah, Harry Leland is a big one for me. I actually would. I mean, so you mentioned Hellfire Club. I need repaints. I will happily pay the stupid retro card tax for actual correct colors of those guys in their suits, because I think that box set came up with some really funky colors. The Jason Wingard in that other box set is just, the colors are off from how they were painted or colored in Uncanny X-Men. I don't know why they chose that. Like I've said before, I'm sure Hasbro's design team did a Google search, and they picked up the most modern outfit look for these guys, and oh, that's the color it should be, as opposed to the classic version that were in so many more issues and so many more comics. But yeah, so we get the Hellfire Club, we get Leland, we complete that version of the team, but then there's also the superhero or supervillain version of the Hellfire Club with their weird outfits, where I would buy those as figures when they took on the X-Men and Nimrod came out and Phoenix 2 was going off, and it was just this huge thing. Let me see if I can pull up this John Romita version of it real fast for us. I'm browsing around to see there's a fan club of the Hellfire Club, and I kind of want to see that. Let's see here. Let me pull this sucker up so we can all see it. So you can see these versions of the Hellfire Club that I'm talking about that I would 100% buy as figures as well, even though it really doesn't make sense. But we do have 2 members of this team. So we've got Celine, we've got Shaw, but you see these costumes. Here's my guy Leland again. He's wearing a cape and buccaneer boots, looking more like a pirate, or Newt from The Last Kingdom. We've got Nimrod here, and then we've got Celine's Hound. So I mean, yeah. And of course, we got the 80s X-Men that they haven't completed. We're so close to being knocked out with that squad as well. We need Colossus in this attire, Rogue in her punk rock look. We've got Storm, we've got Nightcrawler, we've got Wolverine, and we kind of sort of got Shadowcat, but they could also do a more accurate version of that look as well. Black Order characters. Yeah, it's weird. We haven't gotten any more of them or done much with them at all. G Suplex. Funny how Hasbro completes Uncanny X-Men in almost one shot, but we still can't get a complete Thunderbolts team. Now, in fairness, the Uncanny X-Men is great. That run where they were doing their thing from the time the new team formed to Days of Future Past were outstanding. Some of the best comic books ever. So the Thunderbolts had a good run, but not nearly as good as the Uncanny X-Men. But we still need Banshee, and they're holding him over the coals apparently, because we just can't get him. But I would argue we still don't have that team completed until we get Power Down Colossus. So we still need 2 more members of that team. Alpha Flight is kind of close. We need Box, we need Marina, and that team would be complete as well. Or different versions and different colors of those, like Aurora and North Star in their in her yellow and black attire. 1216 Anarchists. We've gotten Vance Astro and now Yondu from the original Guardians. It's a small team they can knock out easily. That's a box set that would be a simple one. Charlie and Martin X, Nikki, put them in a set and bam, here we go. I don't understand why that team, because they've gone through three Guardians movies at this point. If they had just done like 2 with each movie, we'd be nearly done with them. And of course, my hometown heroes, Alpha Flight, face red heart shape. Yes, with you on that one. They should have a copies of the Marvel Universe and the Marvel Fact House from Eagle Moss. Yeah, and just do the versions of those because they look really good. Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, he's another one that will look awesome in figure form in his classic look. I know we got a really good modern version, but yeah, I need the original one fighting against Thor, taking control of Mjolnir. Astonishing Wolverine to go with New Avengers. Yeah, so we got the Iron Man with that team. We still need a Luke Cage. We got a better Sentry. We got Captain America and Spider-Man and a Spider-Woman. We got another one if you did not get that original one in that 2-pack with the Super Skrull. So that team is also almost complete, but I guess we need a Ronin, a better version as well on that one. We did get a Punk Rocker Storm, didn't we? Yes. And I love the Punk Rocker Storm. I think they actually knocked that figure out so well. And it was just a cool figure. And it really made me want them to do the rest of that era where it's like, okay, we've got Wolverine that can stand in just fine. And we got Nightcrawler. And I kind of think we get a little bit different hair with him. But yeah, we did get Punk Rocker Storm. There she goes. All her glory. And let's see here if I can find the shot of the team here operating. Yeah, so I guess, wow, this is old Toy Biz Colossus that I have back here. Yes. Okay, so last episode, I was telling you guys about my cobbled together Nightcrawler, the one that I used the smiling Aquaman DC Direct head and took the ears from the mean gremlin face version of Toy Biz, and this is my slap together customized version of Nightcrawler to make him a little bit more happy and smiley and all that good stuff. So that's that version. The punk rocker version of Storm. Still need a Rogue to go along with them, and a better version of Shadowcat, because that Excalibur one has some flaws and some things I wish they would fix. Film set worker. Honestly, I know it's not a team specifically, but I need more Hulk characters. It's really odd that we don't have more Hulk characters. There's still Thunderbolt Ross. There's the Pantheon that they could cover. So many. Marlowe, Moondragon, I suppose, and a Rick Jones. And poor Rick is just not getting a figure, apparently. Kate Bishop and Ronan with Falcon as well. Now, what do you want to see with the Kate Bishop? Because they did release her as a figure. But yeah. All right, so let's see here. I just got that Storm. Well, I was a bit dated. It works well. Yeah, I think, of course, she's too small and slender like some of those Marvel Legend women figures, but she could use the double jointed elbows, of course, to further channel her powers or lack of powers where she's fighting Callisto down in the Morlock's tunnel. Film set. I'd love to see the UFOs for Hulk. Yeah. See, that's I think what's happened is the lack of a Hulk standalone movie is stalling Hasbro from getting a real push for Hulk villains, Hulk characters out there, because they should have been like, if we gotten a sequel to Incredible Hulk, which I would have been happy about, I probably think we would have seen the UFOs or some of these other characters to go along for Hulk to beat up and smash. Because it's like, geez, Dimitri, thank you. It was like, because I did not like how mean the Nightcrawler from Toy Biz looked. I just felt like there was one of the few times where Toy Biz didn't get the head sculpt right. I was like, no, you should be smiling. And I didn't have much use for that smiling Aquaman. So I said, okay, you're going to a greater cause. You're going to replace my mean Nightcrawler's face. West Coast Avengers 2. So we're pretty close with them. I think we need the red jumpsuit Pym. Hold on, let me get some water here. There we go. All right. We need red jumpsuit Hank Pym. We need a better version of classic old school Mockingbird. I wouldn't mind getting an older Wonder Man with his green jumpsuit with a big W and the jetpacks like really big on the back. And maybe while we're at it, an updated, superior version of the Silver Centurion Iron Man, because that first crack really wasn't good, especially since the Marvel Select version came out right around that same time. It looks so much better. Doc Avenger, the UFOs, they've only done Ironclad. When did they do Ironclad? I don't remember getting Ironclad. Let me know. Echo, yeah. A mid-2000s thing. Now, what would be different about that one? I still think we need to have the singlet and pants version of thing, kind of his wrestling style version, because that's one that would work in different ways. They could repaint it so he could have the trunkless version and go hang out with the West Coast Avengers for a while. But I'd love to see that version where we get him, where he's got his big FF. They did that on the cartoons. I'm a little partial to that look, so I'd love to see that. Thank you. Yeah, so there's so many stuff. No, I knew Marvel was going to dominate because Marvel for sure. Hasbro starts teams, they don't finish them, and we're kind of left going, hey, where's the rest of the dudes for the New Mutants? Because it's like you gave us 3. They did that amazing 3-in-1 pack back when we were getting our money's worth. It was $20 for a figure, and then it's like, hey, you're gonna buy this 3 times. So we've got 3 different head sculpts and 3 accessories that will work for these figures. I wonder if they're thinking, hey, we gave you that Wolfsbane, stop complaining. But no, I want the full real version of her in her X-Factor attire. But yeah, like we still need to get Roberto and Sam and Doug just in matching outfits with the New Mutants that they've given us so far. I still think they should do a younger version of those characters and do Karma and do a whole box set, or just release them pretty close after each other. But we need the New Mutants completed since they started. She-Thing, please. Yeah, so get Sharon back in there, hanging out with Johnny. And we could do the we could do a whole bunch of stuff. It's really cool. So let's see here. She-Thing. Let's see if we can pull that up here. That's easy enough. Way easier. But yeah, that look with her and Ben Grimm. So we could get Ben with the spikes. That'd be fun to see. And it'd be a really wild look for him because it was crazy. Pull that up here. Damn. Yeah, so that look for Sharon was definitely a look. And yeah, that would be a fun figure for them to tackle. I think that would break their sculpting budget and she'd be $50 and we go, why is this figure so expensive? But that would be a fun look. It definitely represents a unique time for the Fantastic Four. Medieval Alchemist, a new She-Hulk in a FF outfit, and maybe She-Thing. All right, so there's some more fans of She-Thing than I thought. But we need a new She-Hulk so we can get the Fantastic Four version along with her Avengers look so we can complete or get really close to completing another team with this version of the Avengers. So we get that squad. We got Black Knight. We've got Cap. And again, this is why I still want that Black Mask version or the outline of his A. Dr. Druid, this version of Thor. So there's lots of members on that Avengers team. We do have Namor. So yeah, but we definitely need a better version of She-Hulk. Civil War Comics Crossbones. I'm trying to remember what he looked like in Civil War because I thought he was the same version as the one we got. Let me see here. Oh, I see. It's slightly different. So yeah, I guess that would make for a different figure. Bucky, Cap, Era, Zemo. Yeah, I guess so. I really love the variant Zemo we got. So yeah, I can see that one. Films at work. I think Ironclad was in the Incredible Hulk movie toy line. Yeah, I think you're right. And I thought they did most of them in figure form. I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Oh yeah, here it is. That came up easily enough. So let's see. Pull that up to show everybody else. That is the Ironclad from the movie. Seen in the video game. Okay. 1-2 punch concrete boxing glove. That's actually pretty cool. I'm sure he's too small to work with a Marvel Legends figure, but that's actually not a bad version of him. Hopefully this Avengers HasLab has a classic Giant Man suit. Yes, that's my hope too. I feel like they've got to do that, and we can get him knocked out, and we'll be all happy. At least I'll be happy. 80s kid from the 90s, Whiplash. There's actually a team that we'll get really close to completing if we have Whiplash. Trying to remember who else is on that team with him. But it's just, oh, right. We do almost have that team completed. So we're so close, and we just need Whiplash / Backlash, and we'll be all set with that squad. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Bam, there you go. So we've got Spy Master, we've got Beetle, we've got Blizzard. So we could have another team knocked out. And it's so weird and funny that, I just kind of wonder how often the Marvel team is like, hey, we should knock out some of these teams. We could finish them and just add one character. I feel like when I'm collecting the WWE line, they're pretty good about like, hey, we need to finish the Nation of Domination. Let's do a way where we do Kama and D'Lo Brown and have that team completed. But yeah, he's pretty big. He's not Marvel Select big, but he fits. I wouldn't be upset if Marvel selected them. I feel like that's kind of where Marvel Select is missing the boat, because when they cranked out that amazing Titanium Man figure, I was all over it. And I feel like if they did a Crimson Dynamo in that same style, I would also be all over that figure and grab it, because they can do the slightly oversized versions, and Ironclad will work really well in that set too. I feel like that's their lane, because the more figures they can make that can fit in with Marvel Legend collectors, they're already going to have their Marvel Select fan base and collectors. But any Marvel Legend collector that's going to want to grab that figure and come in is a win for them. And I don't know why they don't do more of that, especially when it's not clashing with something that Hasbro has already done, like a classic old school Captain America. Kelly says a team that has almost been completely ignored, Rise of the Midnight Suns. I guess we have Blade. We still need Johnny Blaze. And again, that probably would have been a good opportunity for them to do that, since that movie or video game just came out, and they could have done that. But I mean, I guess we still need a Dan Ketch Marvel Legends figure to actually do the thing. And that's just odd and bizarre that they haven't done that. I guess we do have Morbius. So we need Hannibal Lecter. Jeez. Now, this is a team. I had that old school poster back in the day for Marvel Knights. But yeah, so this is that squad. We've got Blade, kind of, sort of. We still need a Dan Ketch, and that's wild. Johnny Blaze and Morbius. So we got a couple figures, but geez, yeah, you're right. That team is pretty much ignored there. A classic Ditko Sinister Six. Yeah, he's very much like Jack Kirby for me. If we do any versions in his style, I would be all over it, because I just think he and Kirby were really great, and buying any version of their specific takes on figures would be a really great thing. because yes, let's show it because they're amazing. They look great. Such a cool look for those guys. And I mentioned this before. We still need the Frightful Four completed. I mean, it's not too hard to knock out that team, and that's one that should be really easy. We just need a Pace Pop Pete, the Trapster, and the Wizard. And then if you want to go back and do a more era accurate version of Medusa, that'd be great. Wouldn't be upset with Sandman and his superhero, supervillain outfit. But yeah. So yeah, Dynamo would be a perfect Marvel Select figure because he's a little bit bigger and he doesn't need to be supersized, but just big enough that he could work. Doc Avenger, the Melter, and Firebrand are high on my list. Yeah, the Melter completes another Masters of the Evil. Masters of the Evil. I was about to say Masters of the Universe. But yeah, he completes another team, another version of them. And it's just weird because that team is so close to being done on so many different levels. And it's just like, come on, guys. So here we go. Here's what that kind of sort of looks like. And this roster of the Masters of Evil. So we've got Whirlwind, we've got Radioactive Man, we've got Claw, and we've got Melter. And because this is just a small image, there's Black Knight, which we do have a figure of. And of course, we need the Wrecking Crew way better than the versions we have currently, but lots of options and lots of figures, lots of teams that we still need done. We need that San Diego Comic-Con Thunderbolts reissue. Yeah, that's a team that they could finish and knock out. I'm really partial to classic version of the Thunderbolts because, they've started and I just kind of want to see them finish that team. Alpha Flight Martin. Yeah, exactly. Medieval Alchemist. Dan Kesh will bike as a Grail item along with those Ghost Rider villains. I've said this before. If they had done more Ghost Rider focused characters, taking advantage of Ghost Rider's anniversary and catering to the Ghost Rider fan base, I feel like that Engine of Vengeance thing would have funded so much faster and funded at all. So yeah. Exotic Carfax official channel. We need some Marvel Legends scale Celestials, all of them. Well, if the rumors that are going around about what's going to take place in Secret Wars are to believe, maybe a Celestial will be on the docket for a Marvel Legends figure at some point. Sean Forster. Danny Ketch will work with the Fantastic Four, the all-new Fantastic Four of Joe Fixit, Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and Spidey. And that's another team that I'm kind of like, you just need one. So I'm wondering if there's some sort of issue. They're trying to tool it up just right because I don't understand why Dan Ketch hasn't been made yet into a figure form. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting the Frightful Four. That's another good one. Select Titanium Man is perfect. He really, really is. And, for anybody who hasn't gotten that figure, I highly recommend it because, even if Hasbro does their version, I don't know if it's going to be better than that one. And I think that's the situation where they don't need to bother trying because the figure was so well done. And Marvel Select should take a bow for that because the figure was amazing. And he's big and beefy, even has an alternate head so you can swap it out, which is awesome. But the shine on this guy was great. And he can actually do a kickstand. It's really cool, impressive. And look at how big he is next to this Iron Man figure. I thought that was so cool. And I figure Crimson Dynamo maybe being about here would work fine and no problem. But yeah, I mean, that's why that Titanium Man figure was so great. And I think that's where Marvel Select should be focusing on a little bit more. A traditional bright red and blue Ditko Romita Spider-Man with Benny Toes. Yeah. New Avengers, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Yeah, for sure. Peaceful Corner. Hello from Portugal. How you doing? Hello from Maryland. Doc Avenger. I would love MODOK's crew from his TV show. That was hilarious. Wonder Man was seeing his wife. I need to watch that show. I still haven't seen it. So I'm glad to hear that somebody recommends it. Danny Ketch. Oh, man. That is expensive. The Toy Biz Marvel Legends Series 3. Jeez, that's pretty expensive. Do you ever hit up trade shows or toy stores that have just warehouse collections? Red Skull with trench coat. We need a giant man, one or two versions of Goliath. Agreed. A yellow jacket, a swordsman, a mantis. Yeah, that 70s era Avengers has some holes in it. And there's a version of Hercules that we still need to get as well with the sandals, the whole straps around his boots or legs. We still need that version of Hercules. So there's a lot. Not sure if this counts as a team, but would love if they gave us more classic monsters. Frankenstein, werewolf, living mummy. Yeah, and I feel like once upon a time, the Marvel Legends team was really in sync with what the MCU was doing. So if they were getting a movie coming out with, say, like the first Guardians of the Galaxy or the second Guardians of the Galaxy, they throw in Advanced Astro and an Adam Warlock from the comics just to be like, hey, look, we're on top of things. Then when they announced they've got a Werewolf by Night, I think a lot of us were going, all right, cool, we're going to get that werewolf figure that from Toy Biz finally updated from Hasbro. And when it came and it went, we still have seen prototype none from that. I think it was a real surprise, and I figure we should see that eventually at some point. Red Skull's daughter, Sin. Yeah, she'd be a fun addition. Definitely somebody to take on Red's or Bucky Cap. Film set worker. I'm from Baltimore. Nice. I go down there a lot, and especially for the Baltimore Comic Con, it's one of my favorites to go to. Marvel Select can make all of those Marvel mega size figures and totally blow Hasbro out of the water. They have a niche that they could excel at easily, but keep playing around. Yeah, especially after seeing that latest crack of classic Captain America. I'm like, guys, this is not your lane. You don't need to stay there. You guys could do a new Onslaught, an updated version. You could do both the original version that looks more like Magneto, the second version would look more like a hermit crab. You could do both versions of him. That'd be perfect. But instead, or a new Annihilus, that's something they could do really well. But we haven't seen that. And I'd love to see them tackle more of those kind of figures. Would be nice to also get thing with the blue pants and black boots and a trench coat. Yeah, it would be fun. Maybe they're saving some of these figures that I'm like, why have they not done them yet for whenever that Fantastic Four movie comes out? Sending her team would be amazing, Kelly says. Does anyone know where to buy 20 cap? Are you talking about the anniversary Captain America? No, he is impossible and pretty hard to track down. I think he doesn't even have a listing on Amazon at this point. He's just hard to find. Sean Forster, they could even use Fang's head for a werewolf by night. That head sculpt was great. Now there's an idea. Yeah, it's funny. There's lots of ideas they could be doing, and I don't think sometimes it's just because it's so expensive. I think that maybe the team is just like, oh yeah. So hopefully they're paying attention to some of us and our comments and chats and etc. So they can go, oh, that would make sense. We could use that figure. Blastar, classic Blastar would absolutely be a figure that I'd be down for. I did like the one that came in that San Diego Comic-Con set because I think they did a really good job with his modern look. But yeah, I would definitely go for a classic version of him. Gosh, it has been a long time since that version of Blastar was done into figure form. That was a long time ago. 2018 is when I reviewed it. But that was a cool set. Got that gangly Medusa that cannot stand whatsoever a gladiator that still needs to be improved on. The Star-Lord in his classic attire, and Blastar, the star of the set. And this is why we need a better version of Black Bolt, because those wings don't make any sense. So a team that we do need to see completed, of course, are the Inhumans, because gosh, they started them, but they just haven't finished. And there's Medusa. So yeah, lots to be done with some of these teams. And there's Blastar and his more modern look. It's okay, but yeah, I'd be down for a classic one, more in the George Kirby kind of style. How big can they go though? Because if we get a Sentinel, Galactus, Giant Man, and Fing Fang Foom from Marvel Select, they're going to cost a lot more. And I don't know if Marvel Select has the retailer shelf space to do anything larger than what fits in their clamshells, because I don't think they could really get away with doing 12, 16-inch figures. I think that's where we're going to have to see figures like those coming through in the HasLab. But if Marvel Select could, I definitely think they should do the Sentinel, because that's a really easy one, and definitely one where they could sell multiples and people would keep buying them. A better Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, or Warbird, Earth's Mightiest Hero style figure. Yeah, yeah, that's one for sure. That completes another character in the Korvac saga of the Avengers, and I'm surprised we haven't seen that version. We're getting a second, sort of second version of Captain Marvel's movie, so it is weird that we haven't seen that look again or in figure form yet. And that's one that they could double up pretty easily and do another figure and have Moonstone or Carla Sofin in that attire. So we could just use her again. And that would be really great. But let's see here. So here's our Korvac Saga era Avengers. And that includes so many of these figures that we've been talking about. So we got the original Guardians of the Galaxy who are still left, and a better version of Quicksilver, I would say. Moondragon for sure, and Two Gun Kid. There's that Miss Marvel that you were talking about. So, and of course, a Beast that fits in a little bit better. So, there's lots of characters, lots of options on that. I'm still trying to figure out why we haven't figured out these things from Hasbro yet. Sword Agent, Sword Beast. I think that sounds like a great 2-pack. Oliver Sutton, not a team, but I would love a civilian Felicia Hardy from animated series Spider-Man. I think the way they're doing these animated series figures are they're doing one hero, one villain, and a civilian. That's the pattern we've seen in the last few waves, so I think that's something that really could come about and they could do it. Sean Forrester, we need Box from Alpha Flight 2. Doubt we'll see it though. I'm kind of wondering if they could retool maybe some of that Hulkbuster set and maybe figure out some new parts to reuse or to just sculpt half of it, and then we can get a new box. Because we get a new box, or we get an Alpha Flight version of Box in this line. Because I feel like if we get Marina, if we get Box, I'll be happy and consider Alpha Flight fully completed. I know there's so many team members on that squad, but I would love to see Box, Marina, just so I can say, all right, the team is now complete. The Moonstone Miss Marvel for the Dark Avengers would be cool. And I think that's one that would work for sure. Hasbro needs to use their icon so they could do more cosmic figures, Stranger, Living Tribunal, Eternity. Yeah, I felt like they thought there was this real big, huge market for 12-inch figures where the market was more make giant size figures and actually use new sculpting and not just do that all over again with the paneling and call it, hey, this Daredevil figure that we use on Cyclops works just fine, right? No, I think they've kind of missed that, and we're seeing them kind of dip their toes back into that with the Super Android or Super Adaptoid. But the problem is they're charging $60 for that figure. And it's like, come on, guys, you're totally misreading the room. We want these larger scale figures, but we want to see actual work put into it, not just, hey, here's a green hammer, here's a new head sculpt and a shield. We're going to charge you almost double what that figure originally cost. Yeah, so the Dark Avengers are very close to getting some headway. They just need some updates. Now, they did do Dakin as a figure before, but he was off an old buck and probably needs to get a better version of him. So I'd love to see that and complete that team because I really enjoyed the Dark Avengers, especially when they're fighting the new Avengers. Thought that was a really cool dynamic where Norman Osborn's Avengers were the heroes and the other ones were considered the outlaws. Yeah. So we got those teams and put it out to you guys. McFarlane Toys is starting to dip into Justice Leagues. So we're seeing some versions of some Justice Leagues. Which one is your priority? For me, he started some with the Satellite era, the Justice League International. I'd love to see the JLA done as well. So there's lots of options. Justice League Europe. I think for me, my preference is the Satellite era just because that encompasses so many classic DC characters. So you get Green Arrow, Black Canary, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, or Hawkwoman, and Elongated Man. I'm about to say Elastic Girl, but Elongated Man, Firestorm. I'd love to see what they would do with Firestorm because I feel like it would be amazing. But I also want to see the JLI. They've kind of started that with Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. We've got Captain Atom coming. We got the Nightfall Batman that fits in fine with that roster as well. The Martian Manhunter is a little bit small, but yeah, we could work around that. Kelly Cox, I wish they would retool the Surtur mold and give us a larger Mephisto. Yeah. But I think much like that Build-A-Figure Apocalypse, how many times would people be able to display that? And since they had so much trouble getting the original one done, I don't know if they'd try to do Mephisto as a selling point for figures, especially if they have to tool up an even larger version. Aren't they doing a Nova Marvel Boy? I believe so. I believe that leak list did have him on there as well. So he will be done, hopefully. Jim Lee, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, John Stewart, and Darkseid. Now we do have a good John Stewart figure, so that one's checked off the board. Let us see what they would do with Darkseid, though. And I'm surprised we haven't seen a classic gold label version of Darkseid, because I think McFarlane would knock him all the way out. I just wish McFarlane wasn't so afraid of female figs. For the Justice League of America, JLA, we need Canary, Zatanna, and a classic Wonder Woman. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I'm so excited to see the purple suit Catwoman. Like, yay, finally, he's making some progress. But we still don't have a Wonder Woman and a Black Canary and a Zatanna, characters that should have been done a long time ago. With Blue Beetle and Booster, give me Guy, Fire, and Ice. Yes. It's crazy. Started doing this, all of a sudden my allergies decided to go get them. But yeah, JLI is one of my favorite teams. And I want to see Rocket Red with them as well, Mr. Miracle, and a big Barter that actually lives up to the name. After seeing what McFarlane Toys did with Donna Troy, I'm pretty confident the big Barter would be huge, massive, living up to the name. So I'd love to see what they did on that end. Is there a Jim Lee 2000 book for Lex? I would assume that the best version of that Jim Lee version is what we got already from McFarlane. It's a pretty good figure. Comfortable. Well, let me get comfortable too. Astonishing X-Men Beast Cat look and proper clawed Wolverine or the extension team with a Jugs, Colossus, Hope, and Danger. Yeah, I mean, there's so many versions of the X-Men that they would be just fine if they completed one, say like giving us both versions of Psylocke for the Outback team. Major Force. Sean, JLI was my jam too. Such a great book. I think you can see this here, my poster, the print autographed by Kevin McGuire with the classic JLA roster and most of the supporting characters, including the Suicide Squad and Nort and Kilowog and everybody in there. Dimitri, Rocket Red. So yeah, really love those. That was such a great team. And I felt like Mattel really dropped the ball in completing that squad and just left a real sour taste in my mouth with that one. All right, so that's what I'm thinking in terms of teams, what we need to see completed, where they need to go. For Marvel, I think they need to wrap up the Frightful Four, 2 members, give us more Thunderbolts, give us a few more figures, because I feel like they're kind of missing out with X-Factor, X-Force. Get those teams completed. Let's keep the thing going because it's wild. Kelly Cox, Fire and Ice 2-pack will never happen, but I'd be first in line for that. Well, we're going to have to fight to see who's going to be first in line if they made it. But yeah, and they're putting out a new comic. So McFarlane Toys does seem to be in sync with what DC is doing with their comic books in terms of what we're getting in the figures. So their looks of Fire and Ice are pretty similar to the old school looks. So I think maybe it's not that far off. Maybe it's something that could happen. Cheetah and Grodd. Yeah, see, if he starts on the Legion of Doom, I'm really going to need him to finish because the Legion of Doom is one of my favorite villain teams of all times. What a rush. And I just want to see Bizarro, Toyman, so many. Now, that is one thing that Mattel did absolutely right with the DC Classics line. They gave us a full, completed Legion of Doom right down to Giganta. So that was great. And I love to have them hanging right up in my display. Yeah, they just announced it this week, so you didn't miss some long-standing news that had been percolating for a while. They just literally announced it, I think maybe on Monday or Tuesday, so it is coming. I'm trying to see if I can find the image they shared with me on that, of course, because I want to do it now. I can't find it, but yeah, it's Fire and Ice hanging out and doing their thing. Actually, let me see if I can track it down for you here because it was very cool. Okay. So this is what that looks like. Ugh. And let me pull it up so you can see now. Now this is riveting. Let's pull it up here. Here it goes. There we go. That took all of forever. There you go. That's what Fire and Ice looks like now in this upcoming comic book. And that looks pretty cool. It looks pretty much what I would expect from a JLI version of them anyway. So I would be really ecstatic if McFarlane Toys pulled that off. Studio Series 86, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and 86 Wheeljack. Yeah. I still don't have a Bumblebee for my Studio Series figures, and I'm so mad because that figure is so expensive. I need a Hound, and I guess Ratchet is coming, but yeah, I still need more of the classic original Autobots in that 86 style right before they killed off, because we got to make way for our new figures. Come on, Todd, make it happen. If only. I miss Giganta. Yeah, she was a builder figure for a wave. I'm trying to remember which one, because I feel like it was early on in the DC Classics wave. Maybe I should break those down. Let me know if you guys want to see a video looking back at the highs and lows of DC Classics. That could be fun if it works out there. Let's see. So Giganta. I'm trying to remember what wave she was in here. So she was with Mr. Terrific, Gentleman Ghost, Dr. Fate, the Parademons, and Vigilante. Yeah, that was a really good wave. I love that. I love when they were on top of things with DC Classics. Such a great line. McFarlane is scared of female action figures. Sausage legs and spaghetti arms all day. Yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best. Not sure what team he'd be on, but I'd love the question. One of my favorite characters from the JLU animated series. Yeah, question was so well done, and love to have Huntress paired up with him. That's the only reason I have them next to each other on my Batman shelf, because of JLA or JLU. Hasbro gave us animated Prowl, so give us other figures from animated. Yeah, there's so much stuff. And that's the whole thing. It's like the mindset is let's start something and not finish it. So I feel like the classified series line's doing a pretty good job. There's different years where it feels like, okay, we're getting behind on the 83 series. Oh, here we go. We're getting Snow Job Torpedo coming up. What about 84? We've got classic Recondo coming. And don't forget about Ripcord and Blowtorch. We're working on those guys as well. So that's it. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging with me on this special Saturday. And I'm going to go chill because I have a whole lot else to do. I'm going to watch the draft and hope my Niners don't make any disastrous decisions. But thank you all so much for hanging with me. As always, put a comment in there. Let me know what you want to see me talk about, or we can chat about on future live streams. I'll be back for sure on this avenue next Thursday, 8 o'clock. And maybe if we get enough news and enough stuff coming on, I'll be back a little bit earlier. But for now, thank you so much. And I will see you guys later. This episode of Loud's Figure Files has been filed.